Welcome everyone. I'm Stephanie, the dyer behind Blackbird Sycamore yarn, and I'm here today with a podcast YouTube video about my knitting. And I realize it's been a year since my last episode, so I've got a year worth of finished objects to catch up on and show off so that I can take them out of the basket and start wearing them and using them. And I'm just going to go real quick through each project and just let you know what's going on. This might be a longer episode than usual, but I don't know if I actually have a usual. So welcome to the craft room, and this is my hand-dyed yarn. It's all for sale on Etsy if you're interested. All my contact information is listed below in the description. I'll have links to all of my Instagram and Etsy shop. I'll also have my Ravelry page so that if you miss anything, you can check that out. And I'll have lists of all of the designers and patterns and yarns. The usual. So let's kick this off with the first finished object. This is my most recent finished object. I finished it just a couple days ago, and it's just dried. This is the Douglas Cardi. It's a pattern by Andrea Mowry. It is knit out of DK weight yarn. This is my stash of chromatic yarns. So Hannah of Corner of Craft podcast or YouTube channel. This is her hand-dyed yarn. It's on her BFL DK base, and I've collected it over a couple of years. And let's see if I can remember the names of all the colors. The gray is Blackbird Sycamore yarn, my own hand-dyed yarn in my DK base, and it is in the colorway Gray Skull. The blue, I think, is called Eulitharid. Pink is Hamster Unicorn. The darker purple is called Metagaming Pigeon. And the purple and pink that are close to the same color are Charm Resistance and Spell Resistance. This white with all the neon pops in it, it almost reads as like a creamy yellow. It's called Otto's Irresistible Dance. The aqua here is Aura of Vitality, and I can't remember what the purple is called. I'm sure it's not. It'll be listed in my notes below and on my Ravelry page. So there were 8 different colors, I think, and I used less than a skein. Some of them I had about a third of a skein left, and one of them I had like 2/3 of the skein left. So that's a lot left over that I think I'll put in a different color work project. This is knit on US 5 and 7 needles. It was a very quick knit. Oh, let me stand up and show you these awesome buttons I went over to Joann's Fabrics and got. They're flower shapes, but I can't see it. The lighting's terrible. Pink, purple, and aqua blue, and I just thought they were perfect. I'm going to knit another one of these. I've already cast on, and I think on the next one I will go ahead and add either 1 or 2 more buttons, because whenever I always have this problem with like V-neck, typical cardigan shape. I always fall out the top, and it's just constantly falls off, and I feel like I'm always pulling it back together. So I think on the next one I will just go ahead and add a couple more buttons so it comes up higher, just for my own preference. Um, yeah, I think that 2 more buttons would be perfect. Um, anyway, oh, it's got pockets, sis. I really love this. I think it turned out perfectly. It is, the sleeves came out way too long. I had perfect gauge. Um, I don't know what happened, but it does stretch a lot here, so I think that's where we got that. Anyway, next project. Should we do whips? I only have 2 whips, so that ought to be quick. I have cast on a second Douglas Cardi. This is all I've got so far of the bottom ribbing. It starts at the bottom and comes up. So I've just got like 4 rows of ribbing started. This one is going to be out of my own hand-dyed yarns on my DK base. And it's basically going to draw from this skein of yarn, which is the my new Wanderer colorway. So it's a light gray, kind of like Grayskull, lighter than Grayskull. But I'm going to pull in the navy blue, which is called Inky. And then I'm trying to figure out whether I should throw in the chocolate brown, the dark brown, which I have a color called coffee, which would match, but I'm not sure if it'll have enough contrast between the navy and the dark brown. It might be too close. But also I'm thinking of putting in maybe gray and either campfire or rust, which will pull out the orangey speckles. I don't know. I just think it's a very nice pattern. I think I could do a better job next time and get a better fit, more to my liking. And I just want to see it in this yarn. My daughter, when I dyed this up, she said, "Oh, I like that. I want something out of that." So that's what we're gonna do. My other whip is just a little whip. It is. This is, do not be alarmed because my daughter saw this laying in a basket and it scared her. This is the Beginner's Kitten. It is patterned by Claire Garland. It's a knitted amigurumi toy type thing. And I just got some cool eyes off of Amazon. I think they sent me like 16 pairs for like $10 or something. They weren't expensive. But it's knit in pieces and you kind of jump all over the place, and like this is the tail, but this is the stomach. I am knitting these on these are bamboo barbecue skewers that I sanded, and then I glued pony beads to the end and kind of tapered the ends. So these are just bamboo needles from like way back when I was a beginner knitter. When I didn't want to go and spend a bunch of money on a ton of needles. So I still like them. I still use them. They work great for this. But yeah, this is being knit with undyed merino lace held double. That's my yarn, my magical mohair base. I'm holding it double with this road trip sock yarn. She's a dyer out of Colorado, and she donates a lot of her proceeds to animal rescue, animal shelter. So she put out a bunch of minis in cat and dog colorways, and I just thought they would be perfect. I saw one of these knit up in a trunk show, like a suitcase show, down over in Laramie. At Cowgirl Yarn, and it was just adorable. And I said, "Oh yes, I need to take up knitting small toy type objects." And I cannot resist this yarn. It's wonderful. All the colorways are inspired by, well, not all of them, but all of them in those mini pack I got were inspired by rescue dogs and rescue cats. So I thought that was perfect for animals. So those are my two whips. I have two whips going. So those are my whips. My first finished object is one of the ones I showed as a whip on the podcast a year ago. This I finally finished in May, shortly after the podcast. Maybe it was late April. This is the Greer shawl, Gryer, by Isabel Kramer. It's been modified by the ladies at Knit on Pearl knitting shop in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. They wrote notes to modify it so you could use the fingering weight. So these colorways, the middle section is Old Rusted Chair, I think it's called Rainbow Fish, maybe was the colorway. I got it was in my stash. I got it in a de-stash from Amy of Happy Little Yarns podcast. So when I walked into the yarn shop in Jackson Hole and said, hey, they had this other singles base from Farmer's Daughter Fibers. And so the blue and the purple are from Farmer's Daughter Fibers. I forget the colorway names. One was Heartbreak Hotel and one was Players Ball, maybe? Players something. But they picked up the same colors. And the ladies, the lady from, I forget her name, from Knit on Pearl, helped me match the color with a photo of this skein of yarn from my Ravelry stash. And then she was like, hey, you make this pattern, and here's the notes that I took, and then I could buy the pattern, and she put it in my Ravelry thing. I didn't know you could do that before I walked into that yarn shop. So it was a wonderful shopping experience, and this is the first finished object, and I love it. It is beautiful. It's just a simple triangle shawl. It was a quick knit. It's got a few eyelet rows, but mostly it's just garter stitch, and it's very squishy and soft, and I've never knit with single space before, and that was a new experience. So that was the first finished object. Let's see what's next. Ta-da! So the next finished object is the Ranunculus, the pattern by Midori Hirose. I knit this out of my own Blackbird Sycamore yarn, hand dyed in the Cherub Cheek colorway, which is a red pink as opposed to like a purple pink or a blue pink. There's a lot of pinks. And I just love the halo and how soft and light it is. This thing weighs almost nothing. It knits up fast. The only hard part was I kind of messed up in this textured part through the thing, the yoke, but it's okay. This took 1.8 skeins. So for me it was 830 yards for a very generous, I'm not sure which size I used, but it's a very generous, like 60 something inch bust, with 3/4 length sleeves. It is absolutely stunning. All right, next on the finished object parade, we've got the Pome hat. I think that's how you say it. Pome. The pattern is by Agata Smektala. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. It is a beautiful, the lighting's weird in here. Beautiful cabled beanie. It's got like a braid cable and then a large cable with the braid running through the middle. I absolutely love this pattern. This is the third or fourth time I've knitted it. And it fits great. It's very warm and squishy and soft. It's great for gifts. It's a free pattern. I love it. It's knit on US 4 and 6 out of Aran or worsted weight yarn. This is Dream in Color City, which is their Dream in Colors worsted weight, and this color is called Joshua Tree. I got it down in Loopy U, down in Fort Collins on one of our road trips last winter or early spring, and it is beautiful, and I love it, and now I can wear it. The next finished object on parade is my painting wave shawl. It was a work in progress last year in April. It finally got finished in May, so this is the painting wave shawl patterned by Stephen West. It took a little over 1,000 yards of yarn. It calls for like 8 minis, but I used 4 50 yard skeins, and I had plenty of yarn left over. 50 gram skeins, sorry. And then the stripes in between are these grayish brown stripes in between is my yarn, Blackbird Sycamore yarn, in the colorway Burnt Offerings. And then all the others were a collection from WIP yarns, WIP yarns. They're on Etsy. The whitish is called Sunstone, and the orange is Calico Koi. Then we have Pumpkin Spice, and Rustic is the orangey browny black. And I don't know if I can capture these colors in like a close-up. They are gorgeous. I have tons of leftovers too. So there's one more whip in the whip parade. Done. Next on the whip parade, no, the finished object parade. These are a basic vanilla sock with a, what is this called? Eye of partridge heel, wedge toe, Tiny Human Knits yarn from her Lord of the Rings set last year, and this colorway is called If You Want Him, Come and Claim Him. See if you can see her logo here. I don't know if it'll pull focus. Nope. Anyway, I'm sure you know who Tiny Human Knits are if you're on. So just basic vanilla socks. No, nothing exciting, but they're beautiful. I love them. Next is these are another basically vanilla sock. These are Felici yarn, sock weight yarn, in the colorway Rustic Cabin. And I just did a basic 2x2 rib and then continued the rib on the top of the foot but not the bottom. It's what is this called? Heel flap and gusset, slip stitch heel flap and gusset. Nothing exciting going on here. Just nice pretty colors. Let's see, these are the Tiny Human Knit yarn from her Lord of the Rings collection. This is the colorway Be at Peace, Son of Gondor. And the colors are just spot on. I just love them. They are so Boromir all the way. Anyway, it's just another vanilla sock, just like the ones before. 2x2 rib, carry the rib down on the foot, wedge toe, heel flap and gusset. Nothing to write home about. I just like a rib sock. I think it has a better fit and it's less likely to like slouch down as the day goes on. So that's one more whip. Or why do I keep saying whip? It's a finished object. I need to take credit for this. Next in my finished objects, I've got the Toadstool's hat. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this because it's pretty there. The light's above instead of in front. So this is a Fair Isle color work, stranded color work. The colorways are the off-white is paper, the orange is toadstools, and this brown around the bottom is some more bird offerings from my own hand-dyed yarn. Put that here. So this is a pattern. It left me out. The pattern is by Monazilla, who is Bunny Muff on Instagram. It's a Charm of the Woodslands hat. There's several different motifs in that pattern, so it's a very nice pattern. I highly recommend it. This took barely any yarn. I could almost see if you did the top out of a different yarn and then the middle, and then you could do it out of minis and scraps easily. I think the only color that I used more than a mini worth of is the orange, and that's because I used it throughout the whole thing. It's a very nice pattern, very nice hat. I kind of wish I had left more ribbing around the bottom, just personal preference, but it's very cute. Got a lot of compliments on this last fall. Next on this parade is the Raven beanie. Called the Raven Beanie by Claire Borchardt. This is knit out of my DK Weight Professor colorway. It's 100% superwash merino, and it's got gray, black, brown, and a little bit of like burgundy pops, little sprinkles in there. I don't know if you can see them. It's got a fun little pom-pom. When I do pom-poms, they usually come, the ones I buy usually come with a whatchamacallit, like a rubber band type thing. So I run the rubber band through the crown and the hat, and I sew a button inside, and that's how I fix it. So I can take that off if I don't want it, or if I give this, like if my son was going to wear it and he didn't want to have a fluff ball on the top, or if I wanted to wash it, I can take this off completely. I can swap it out in a matter of seconds. And it saves those pom-poms, and it also saves the hassle of trying to work around them. I don't want to, I mean, sometimes you do have to wash them, but they really never look the same after that. So I just thought that was something that other people might be interested in knowing. Next is, these are some more vanilla socks. This is the Jack, you can't see it, Jack and Sally colorway. It's got orange, aqua, black, and teal, and rosy pink. And then the contrast color is a mini of the Deadly Nightshade colorway, which was also referenced in the Nightmare Before Christmas movie. So this is just a vanilla top-down sock, 2x2 rib at the top, stockinette, wedge toe, but the heel is my, I don't know if it's going to pick that up. It's called the houndstooth heel, at least that's what I'm calling it. It's basically an eye of partridge heel, but you carry the every other yarn or every other trip back and forth, you carry a different color and swap them on and off. So you get this like checkerboard pattern. It looks like houndstooth. That pattern is, I wrote up that pattern. It's on Ravelry, and you can download it for free. It's just the same vanilla sock. I think I have 3 sizes on there. So just if you're interested in trying something new on your heels. Next up, we've got the Marauders socks, which is a pattern by Lisa K. Ross. I got it out of Magical Knitting Magic, More Patterns from Hogwarts and Beyond, which is a book with lots of fabulous Harry Potter inspired patterns. These are fun colorwork socks. I'm learning in my old age to definitely keep my tension loose when I'm carrying those floats, so you can actually get your feet in the socks. So these have, they're inspired by the Marauders map, the secret map, and they say on the fronts of them, I solemnly swear, and then this one says, I solemnly swear that, and then this one on the front says, I am up to no good. And then it has some traditional snowflakes, but on the sides it has little footprints like on the map itself. And I tried to stick with the same colors. This is the colorway Cleric, which is my own hand-dyed yarn, and the off-white is paper again. And it is the super sock base. So 75-25, 4-ply, really nice sturdy yarn. And I did a partridge heel. I'm not sure if that's what the pattern actually called for. Oh, also, I almost forgot to say, the bottoms of these is what really, really got me. See if I can show you. They say mischief managed on the soles of the feet. These are adorable. I love them. They took forever. Like, I could have knit 3 or 4 pairs of socks in the time it took me to make these, but definitely worth it. The next finished object is, I did twice. This is the, let's see if I can hold it up where you can see it. This is the Live Out Loud shawl by Chic and Regal Knits. And I did a collaboration with her last fall. And I believe it was like September. And this one was knit in the Lakeside colorway. It comes with the kits came with a full skein of the main color and then 25-gram skeins of 2 contrast colors. So the contrast on this kit was brass and campfire, which is the same orangey brown I was thinking of putting in that Douglas cardi. It's a beautiful little triangle shawl. It's really fun and really fast to knit. And it's got a lot of fun textures in it. I just love these colorways and how they worked out together. So I knit this one out of the Lakeside kit, and then I knit up my Skateland colorway in a kit. Trying to figure out which way's up. So this is the Skateland colorway, which is a gray with pops of neon yellow green, like called and hot pink mini skeins that came with this one, the contrast colors were called Limelight and Bleeding Heart. And they're just so much fun. They're just that ecstatic. Oh, it's Bleeding Heart. Okay, next. The next thing, I had leftovers from that shawl. So I made, these are the Sanderson Sisters socks. Oh boy, what is your name? Carly Perrins is the designer. It comes with multiple motifs, so you pick which motif you want. For each of the sisters, there's a top and bottom motif, but you can swap them out with whatever ones you want, whatever colors you want. So mine has a green skull and crossbones at the bottom, and like a graveyard type, like these are the little headstones, I think, and I cannot hold this up to save my life. And then black cats at the top, and they're so cute. This, I knit one of these mostly in the car during one of our road trips. It's a really fun little pattern. I've already worn these a few times at Halloween last year. I always love a Halloween sock. Next on the list, we have the Headband with a Twist by Morella Moments. And I think this was a free pattern. This is knit. If I can get it over my head. This is knit out of my own hand-dyed yarn in the Fantastic Flute base, which is a really fun yarn. It is just so gorgeous. It's so soft and luxurious. It's got a beautiful halo. It is a weird tube yarn. This colorway is called Antique, which is kind of a soft beigey neutral. It kind of has a pinkish cast to it, but not. It's a nice sand color. Let me tell you more about this yarn though, because it is very interesting. It's 70% alpaca. It's a nylon tube, so 23%, and then 7% merino wool. So it's a chainette yarn. It's just one of those tube blown yarns, and it is just beautiful. And it can be used as a bulky weight, but this pattern called for a DK weight, and it came out fine because of the nature of the yarn. It just depends on what needle you're working on. I'm pretty sure you could work it anywhere from a DK up to a bulky, and it would look great. I really wonder how good a whole sweater out of this would be. I made several of these and gave them away at Christmas last year, or this last Christmas. So the next finished object is again Headband with a Twist by Morella Moments. I just used up what was left over from that hat. This is DK weight of the Professor colorway, and it's a little bit smaller because I was running short on yarn, but the stretch on it makes it so it fits. It looks tiny though. Yeah, it's a fun little headband. The next headband though, I was really excited about. This is called the Valkyrie headband. And it's got a pretty lace motif on it. Mine came out like way wider than it should have, I think. The pattern is called Valkyrie Headband. It's by Jody Kirkell. I hope I said that right. It's a very fun little pattern. I was excited about it. And I was waiting for this pattern to come out. So when it did, I immediately had to cast on. This is my own hand-dyed yarn, Blackbird Sycamore yarn, in the colorway Rose Quartz on DK. And it's pink with nice little speckles of dark brown, gray, and kind of a rusty color. Beautiful. Um, next, finished object. I almost said whip again. Next finished object is a pair of socks. This pattern was called Cold Winter Nights. It is a pattern by Twin Stitches Designs. This is just a cute little motif of a Christmas tree and some like snowflake type shapes. The I used all my own hand dyed yarn in the super sock base. These were a Christmas color. This was the main color that came with the Whoville sock set this winter. The dark green is called Scrivener, and then I've got some Nanook, the white, in there. I made a pair of the Whoville socks for my daughter, and then I made some of the candy cane colored socks for my son. But I gave them to them for Christmas, so I don't have them to show. But this was left over from the ones I made from my daughter, and so I just threw in some scraps and knit up a beautiful pair of Christmassy socks. Alrighty, the next finished object here is the Wildly Chic shawl. I test knit this. It's another pattern from Chic and Regal Knits. It's knit with 3 skeins of DK yarn, 2 skeins of the main color, which was Cleric, the dark red, and the contrast color on this one is Portolan, which is kind of lost in this, but it's a beautiful skein of yarn that I knit. And I still had quite a bit left over. Not quite half a skein of each left. But enough to throw in a scrappy project. This is a fun geometric shawl. It knit up really quick because it's DK. I really like the geometric elements of it. And I don't know, it's like a crescent shawl. Pretty long. And yeah, that happened. This wonderful sweater. This is probably my favorite sweater I've knit ever. I knit it with my colorful Colorado Advent, which was a collaborative Advent put together last Christmas by Spindrift Yarn, Conifer Collective, Huck and Ray Fiber Studio, Bad Luck's Designs, and Viking Fiber Co. I think that was all of them. And they're all Colorado hand dyers. So it was a 24 mini skein Advent. I still have tons of colors like left over. I didn't even use half of the mini for most of these stripes. So I used, since I'm in Wyoming, they're in Colorado, I used mostly Western Sky knits as the contrast colors. I used, one was birch bark and one was fragment. They were the 2 lighter colors. And then as it fades down, this middle section is Huck and Ray's Wanderlust color, and then down at the ribbing is just a Knit Picks Hawthorne. I forget. I think it was Mount Scott colorway. So as you can see, this has this beautiful every other stitch texture, or I don't know. It knitted up pretty fast for a fingering weight sweater. It was very exciting to get to switch colors. So this is the My Favorite Adventure pattern by Tristan Molina of Dragon Horde Designs. Um, and I absolutely love it. I really kind of think I should knit another one next year with my Advent. So I just absolutely adore this sweater. It fits perfectly, and it's not too hot, which is always something for me because I make all these knitted items and I can barely wear them because it's too hot. The next finished object is this sweater. It's called the Fossil Frenzy Tee. It's patterned by Mary Hunt. It's got this beautiful color work chart. I knit the 3X size, and it came out a little too large. Even though my gauge was on, I apparently don't know what size I am anymore because everything's coming out too large. But I like the fit here. It's the top half that's too big, especially at the collar. I think I might have to do some sweater surgery and take this color out and then knit like a folded color to bring it in or something. But other than that, I do like this fabric. I love the color work chart. That turned out excellent. So the colors are Char and Bleeding Heart, which are my own hand-dyed yarns, and it took 2 skeins of the Char and 1 skein of the Bleeding Heart, which doesn't sound right, but that's all it took for such a large sweater. It was knit on US 1.5 and US 2 size needles. So all in all, it took about 1,000 yards for a very large sweater. Let's see. Next finished object is the Dotted Rays Speckle and Fade, which is a pattern I'm sure most people are familiar with, the Dotted Rays by Stephen West Knits. This is knit mostly out of hedgehog fibers. The yellow is fool's gold. The orange is, I think, guppy. Then there's phoenix, which is like a red. The purple is kind of a conglomeration in here of Capit Mortuum, which is a dark purple that I dyed, and then Starling from Goosey Fibers, and any other purples I could find in my scraps and stash just to make the purple. And then at the bottom I went to a Bubble, which is a very nice royal Ben aqua blue from hedgehog fiber, and then the fool's gold. So this is impossible to show you in such a small room. Next we have a Musselburgh, the obligatory Musselburgh. This is a Musselburgh knit out of my own super sock hand-dyed yarn. Colorway is called Blood of My Enemies. I made it for my son. It is just a really nice burgundy, brown, gray. Oh, look at that. I'm sure you've seen this hat a million times. It's a nice watch cap beanie. And that's that. And the last finished object, which was a long time coming, is my twist and turn shawl. This took forever. This is knit out of Blackbird Sycamore yarn on a super soft base in the colorways Scrivener, which is the dark green, South Farthing, which is the light speckled green, and the peachy pink is called Coral. And I love these colors together. I could not be more pleased with how they're playing together. But this shawl is a ridiculous shape, and I don't know. I like it now that it's done, but getting here was too much work. I really am kind of disappointed in, there I said it. I'm disappointed in this year's, in the 2022 MCAL. I bullied a bunch of people into, hey, you should join, and then it turned out to be this. And I finished it, but I don't know. I'm really considering backing out of doing those anymore until I can see what we're making. So this was the last finished object. Thank goodness. So I don't really have anything else to say. It's been a crazy year. I am sure everybody else has had a crazy year too. I'm not unique in that. So for now, I'll continue dyeing yarn as long as people are still willing to buy it and they still enjoy it. If you're interested, go check out my shop on Etsy. It's Blackbird Sycamore Yarn. I've said that about 5,000 times, so I'm sure you're aware. And thank you for letting me be a part of your knitting community and have fun knitting.